Carroll County Comet newspaper editor could face multiple felonies after framing YouTuber as Bridge Guy in Delphi murders.
With a crooked grin, hiding secrets buried deep within. The shadows whisper a wicked name. In the end, it's all just a twisted game. She is the rider, they are the vision. This is the fall. The watchdogs howl under the moonlit sky, exposing lies you thought you could deny. Truth cuts sharp like a jagged blade. No escape from the mess you made. The Wabash watchdogs are coming for you tonight. She is corrupt, the watchdogs always watching. The mission to uncover the truth, expose corruption, and keeping it real. The truth.
Are you innocent or guilty?
Murder on the moon, murder on the moon. We are watching. Watching you, 'cause you're gonna get your news.
Gonna get your news right here
On the Wabash Watchdog.
In the heart of Delphi, Indiana, a community already scarred by a decade-old assault murder, the truth is again under siege. However, this time, the corruption does not lie within shadowed trails or creek beds, but behind desks, under glaring newsroom lights, and within unsettling private messages. The Carroll County Comet, a long-standing symbol of local journalism integrity, has crumbled under the weight of scandal. But this story didn't begin in May. It began years ago, when reputations were still intact and ambitions were pure.
Backgrounds and
She is the rider, they are the vision. This is the fall. The watchdogs howl under the moonlit sky, exposing lies you thought you could deny. Truth cuts sharp like a jagged blade. No escape from the mess you made. The Wabash watchdogs are coming for you tonight. She is corrupt, the watchdogs always watching. The mission to uncover the truth, expose corruption, and keeping it real. Getting the answers that you deserve lie lurking in the dark, destroying the innocent, causing a disruption. Corruption, betrayal, injustice. We will uncover the truth, 'cause there ain't no room in this town for the three of us, like Survivor, outwit, outlast, and outplay. Listen, you hear me? I'm the final boss, you better fear me. Your lies unravel like a thread pulled tight. Caught in the spotlight, there's no more flight. You built a kingdom on shaky ground, but the truth has a way of breaking down. Betrayal's the currency in your charade. Injustice dealt with every move you've played. The final boss, yeah, I've heard the claim, but your empire falls in corruption's name. The watchdog
The truth is again under siege. However, this time, the corruption does not lie within shadowed trails or creek beds, but behind desks, under glaring newsroom lights, and within unsettling private messages. The Carroll County Comet, a long-standing symbol of local journalism integrity, has crumbled under the weight of scandal. At the very center stands Anthony Greeno, a controversial YouTube personality, and Holly Eitenmiller, the paper's editor, whose actions have shattered trust, manipulated media ethics, and created an alarming trail of deception and manipulation. But this story didn't begin in May. It began years ago, when reputations were still intact and ambitions were pure.
Backgrounds and breaking points.
Holly Eitenmiller was once considered a rising figure in small-town Indiana journalism. Known for her biting sarcasm and unfiltered takes, Holly worked for several regional publications before landing a role at the Carroll County Comet. Her social media following included colleagues, county officials, and even family members of victims in the Delphi murders. Though often erratic, her commentary was tolerated, if not encouraged, particularly when she posted viral content about controversial local issues. But her journalistic reputation took a sharp turn when she began openly stating that Richard Allen, the man charged in the Delphi murders, was innocent.
Richard Allen is a scapegoat. Law enforcement is too afraid to admit they have the wrong guy.
She told a colleague in early 2025. While some respected her boldness, others began questioning her motives. Her personal life often spilled into her work. Substance use, blurred professional boundaries, and sexually charged messages to coworkers, including her now infamous Elmer's glue comment.
I'm about to strip and rub Elmer's glue all over my body and eat crayons.
Meanwhile, Don Hurd, the publisher of Hoosier Media Group, maintained a reputation as a silent, behind-the-scenes power broker. He owned multiple newspapers across Indiana and was known for one thing: staying out of the spotlight. But his silence turned to scandal when Eitenmiller claimed she had to sleep with him to secure employment for others.
I had to have sex with Don Hurd to even get him to entertain the idea of bringing Anthony on.
My name is Jimmie Clayton Jr., and I am the only witness who was present when the editor of the Carroll County Comet newspaper tried to frame renowned local true crime YouTube personality Anthony Greeno as a cold-blooded killer.
We are watching. Watching you, 'cause you're gonna get your news.
Gonna get your news
Gonna get your news
right here.
on the wall. Bash Watchdog.
What you are about to hear can be found in court documents, transcripts, and what cannot be made public to protect the integrity of the case will certainly be revealed when the court deems appropriate. This is my first-hand account to what led up to the Carroll County Comet newspaper scandal.
You're gonna get your news from the man behind the blog. Right here, right here. You're gonna get your news. Right here on the Wabash Watchdog.
I want to be clear about something from the start. What the Carroll County Comet published on November 12, 2025 was not the full story. It wasn't even close.
Carroll County, Indiana. A rural community known for quiet roads, a historic courthouse, and the shadow of one of the most infamous murder cases of the last decade. It is here where a story of ambition, deception, and collapse began to unravel, a story that would eventually pit journalists against their own newspaper, a community against its trusted sources, and two co-workers against each other in a courtroom. Before the scandal broke, the Carroll County Comet still held a reputation as the county's long-standing newspaper of record. But by early 2025, the publication was struggling, understaffed, under-resourced, and in desperate need of modernization.
On the surface, their article looked like accountability. It read like a small-town paper finally addressing the arrest of its former editor, Holly Eitenmiller. But if you dig even an inch beneath the ink, the whole thing falls apart. What they printed was a half-truth, and half-truths are worse than lies. The Comet framed the situation as a simple marijuana incident, a misunderstanding over old items taken from a building, minor property valuation issues, and they wrapped it all up with the phrase, "All defendants are presumed innocent."
When newly appointed editor Holly Eitenmiller approached independent journalist Anthony Greeno, it seemed like opportunity for both sides.
All defendants are presumed innocent. That framing would be fine if it reflected what actually happened. It didn't. Critical facts were left out, not forgotten, avoided. Another thing the Comet didn't report was Holly's attempt to fabricate a link between Anthony Greeno and the bridge guy. She took photos. She sent messages. She contacted officials. She attempted to build a false confession narrative. None of that made it into print.
Official statement from the Carroll County Comet. In light of recent online allegations by Anthony Greeno, we feel it is important to clarify the record. Greeno has never been employed by the Carroll County Comet. His statements regarding our newspaper and current or former staff are categorically false and without merit. The Comet remains committed to ethical journalism, transparency, and to serving the people of Carroll County with integrity. We encourage our readers to rely on verified sources and factual reporting. Thank you for your continued trust and support. The Carroll County Comet editorial team.
Unauthorized entry into a civic building, the use of a key Holly had no authority to possess, directing others to remove property, false statements to law enforcement, a staged marijuana setup, an attempted framing of an innocent man, messages sent to law enforcement leaders during the setup, and evidence tampering. Those details didn't disappear by accident. They were excluded. When a newspaper refuses to tell the truth about its own editor, that isn't journalism. That's institutional protection. There are only a few explanations for why the Comet hid these facts. One is that they were protecting themselves. Printing the truth would expose misconduct by their own former editor. Another is that they were protecting the county because printing the truth raises uncomfortable questions. How did she get the key? Who authorized access? Why wasn't burglary charged? Why were only soft charges filed? And the last explanation is the simplest one. Controlling the narrative is easier than explaining it. That's why Wabash Watchdog exists. My interest in all of this didn't start with Holly's arrest. Long before that, I was watching how Indiana handled bail. I watched my girlfriend get screwed out of a significant amount of money. I watched surety bonds and cash bonds taken, only for the accused to be transferred from one institution to another, less restrictive, but an institution nonetheless. I called it bail jail. Money that should have gone toward defense and basic needs was redirected to pay guards in county correctional facilities. I began writing about it. I researched it extensively. I wrote on my personal blog, Wabash Watchdog. I watched law enforcement do the opposite of their mission statements. They escalated problems. They rarely de-escalated them. That writing eventually led me to Anthony Greeno of True Crime Investigates.
Anthony Greeno. Controversial to some, respected by many, feared by those who preferred the truth buried. He worked relentlessly to expose misinformation and protect the integrity of the investigation. But in late 2024, Greeno was recruited by the Carroll County Comet, and that's where this story begins.
Anthony and I decided to work together. Holly Eitenmiller became interested after seeing how we used artificial intelligence. She was mesmerized by it. She started brainstorming possibilities immediately. She talked about corruption, about the county, about money, about the Indiana Packers donating funds while Carroll Manor fell apart. She talked about auditing the county auditor. She wanted investigations the Comet wouldn't dare publish. She proposed a sister publication. We called it MNN, Multimedia News Network. She gave us a test run covering the Carroll County Jail ribbon cutting. We nailed it. No credit. Nothing ran. She then talked about a national story involving how evidence was stored in the Richard Allen case. She sent us to scope out the warehouse at 5810 North 9th Street. Cameras, perimeter, security. She said we needed to move to Delphi. She kicked her boyfriend out and had Anthony and me move in. She promised Anthony the editor position after training. She promised a company car. That's how May 3rd happened. She told us the Kia Sportage needed a battery. She said it was inside the old Comet building. She pulled out keys and unlocked the door. We believed she was authorized. She toured the building. She pointed out items. She had us remove a chair and a projector. That belief was later used against us. By May 10th, everything shifted. Holly stayed awake all night, interrogating him, accusing him of being the bridge guy, taking photos, messaging officials, building a narrative. On the morning of May 11th, deputies arrived. Anthony was handcuffed. Holly was taking pictures. She told me she planted the marijuana because she didn't know how else to get law enforcement there. She said she was messaging Don Hurd and the sheriff the entire time. That wasn't journalism, and that was manufacturing a crime scene. I later drafted and swore a full affidavit. I intended to pursue a citizen's arrest. I was talked out of it. Charges were eventually filed 6 months later, but Holly's culpability was diluted. Charges were watered down. Entire statutes were ignored. And when the Comet finally printed something, they left out everything that mattered. That's why this exists. The affidavit doesn't describe a misunderstanding. It describes a pattern, a calculated sequence of actions controlled from beginning to end, and the public deserves to hear it. Under Indiana Code, burglary requires unauthorized entry into a structure with intent to commit theft or a felony inside. According to my sworn affidavit, Holly used a key she had no authority to use. She entered the Chamber of Commerce building after hours. She removed property. She directed others to remove property. And she fabricated a story about those items being given away by officials. That is not taking an old projector. That is textbook burglary under Indiana law. But burglary was never charged, and the Comet never mentioned it. They also failed to report what happened with the marijuana. Their article said officers found a plastic bag of suspected marijuana near Anthony Greeno. What they didn't say is that Holly planted it there herself. She admitted to it. She placed it next to Anthony deliberately so law enforcement would respond to her apartment. That wasn't discovery. That was evidence.
Anthony Charles Greeno grew up just north of downtown Delphi out Carrollton Road. He returned to his hometown in October 2024 as part of a contract and as an independent journalist and documentary producer, known for his extensive coverage of the Delphi murders and his series on YouTube, True Crime Investigates, which transitioned to production of a documentary series, Murder on the Mono. Greeno had been reporting on the Delphi murders for years, a familiar face on YouTube, in court hallways, and at press conferences. Holly was new to town, brought in from out of state, urging him to join the Comet. She wanted stronger reporting, modernized media, and the revival of a dying newspaper. Eitan Miller appeared to want that credibility attached to the Comet. Screenshots later collected as evidence recorded her exact words.
You're hired.
More messages followed. Promises, roles, responsibilities, assignments, equipment, plans for digital expansion. On February 22nd, 2025, Greeno and Jimmie Clayton Jr. were officially hired. Both men submitted stories, attended events as press, and completed assignments. This employment was later confirmed in court by Judge Troy Hawkins. Yet 6 months later, the Comet would claim they never worked there at all. Greeno was told he'd become the Comet's government correspondent and eventually take over as editor. His teammate, Jimmie Clayton Jr., a writer and 3D animator, was invited to join as well. Clayton later recalled how bold and enthusiastic the promises were.
She said we were building a digital newsroom, new equipment, news vehicles, a modern paper. She said Don was all for it.
She was referring to publisher Don Hurd, the man in charge of all major decisions. According to Greeno and Clayton, Holly repeatedly told them,
Don's in. You're hired.
She assigned them stories. They wrote them, but behind her excitement, her behavior was shifting. The messages became erratic, unfiltered, increasingly unstable. Screenshots obtained later would reveal some of the most disturbing comments.
I'm about to strip and rub Elmer's glue all over my body and eat crayons. I've been smoking crack. That drug dealer lied to me. Let me smoke some fucking pot and get back with you. I'm writing a porn script with images and names. We don't need Anthony anymore. I'm the Comet.
The public would never see these quotes in the initial newspaper articles, but they were already in the phones of the people she was recruiting, stored as timestamps in the timeline that would eventually be given to police. Despite her increasingly erratic messages, Holly continued to position herself as their supervisor. She led Greeno and Clayton into the Delphi Chamber of Commerce building, using her key, telling them the city had abandoned the property and authorized the removal of old equipment. Inside that building, they handled a projector, an antique chair, and saw an HP laptop Holly claimed she had permission to use. What Greeno and Clayton didn't know was that these actions, all encouraged by Holly, would later be weaponized against them. As Holly's messaging spiraled, so did her accusations. She sent YouTuber Jennifer Marv, from Beyond the Evidence, messages making it appear as though Greeno was lying. Marvin later told investigators she thought Greeno was lying about working for Holly at the Comet as the upcoming editor. Marv said she, referring to Holly, manipulated their conversations to pit each other against the other. Holly made it look like Greeno was lying, but he actually wasn't. This was the beginning of a rift in the online true crime community, one that would later generate backlash, hatred, and accusations that Greeno and Clayton were exploiting tragedy or inventing stories for attention. They weren't. They were living in the middle of a breakdown they didn't cause. By early May, Holly's behavior began to deteriorate. Messages became volatile, unpredictable, and deeply troubling. Days later, the situation escalated. On the night before Mother's Day, Holly told Clayton that she had been interrogating Greeno, insisting she had evidence he was the infamous bridge guy, the man convicted in the Delphi murders.
I interrogated him all night. I got evidence he's bridge guy. I took footage.
But no interrogation took place. No footage existed, and the hat she insisted matched the bridge guy hat was a film prop Greeno purchased on Amazon the year before for a documentary reenactment. Still, Holly acted as though she had discovered something explosive. Then came the accusation that Clayton would later put into a sworn affidavit.
She told me she planted the marijuana.
This was the moment the story shifted from confusion to criminal misconduct. Clayton would later explain to police that Holly wanted Greeno arrested so she could get proof of her theories. Her accusations were built not on facts, but on emotional instability, drug use, and paranoia. Mother's Day morning. Police arrive at 113 South Washington Street, Holly's apartment. She had texted the sheriff claiming Greeno was there with marijuana. Officers found Greeno asleep upright at her kitchen island. A small bag of marijuana was located nearby. Not on him. Never tested. Never verified.
That is not my bag of weed. Holly is lying. Look at the text she sent me.
Investigators later reviewed the messages. Every indication suggested Clayton's statement was true. Holly admitted planting the drugs. Or at minimum, admitted possessing and using drugs herself. As this unfolded, other revelations began surfacing. When questioned about a missing chamber laptop, a device Holly previously claimed she
didn't know anything about,
officers discovered it in her bedroom. A forensic examination confirmed
the password was changed by a user identified as Holly Eitenmiller.
The original articles never revealed this. Neither did Don Hurd. But now, felony charges make the truth impossible to ignore. The state of Indiana charged Holly with Level 6, felony theft. Level 6, felony maintaining a common nuisance. False informing. Possession of marijuana. The false informing charge explicitly accused her of lying about Greeno stealing items and lying about her knowledge of the laptop. And yet, months earlier, publisher Don Hurd had issued a public statement denying everything.
Greeno has never been employed by the Comet. His statements regarding our newspaper and staff are categorically false and without merit.
But Don had already seen the "you're hired" messages. He had already seen the screenshots of Holly granting assignments and making promises. He had already reviewed evidence that contradicted his public denial. Now, with Holly formally charged and her statements exposed, that denial stands as a knowingly false attempt to protect the paper's reputation. Yet the damage had already been done. The backlash online was immediate. Commentators, conspiracy theorists,
And for the first time, the full truth is finally being told. So all of you naysayers out there saying that this was false, it's nice to know who my true friends are. They don't criticize me, they support me. And thus remember, I could care less about the charges against me. It's weed for crying out loud, but this gives me a chance to show you what it's like representing yourself in a criminal trial in Carroll County.
For Anthony Greeno, this isn't just a scandal. And now, as the case moves toward jury trials, both his and Holly's, the stakes are higher than ever. 2 people, 2 narratives, 1 county watching. Will Anthony Greeno be found guilty or not guilty? Will Holly Eitenmiller be found guilty or not guilty? The answers now belong to the courts. But the story...
Audio Jungle.
Innocent